All right, so there's the risk. Then we also said that it's like, okay, well, it's just a simple math of like, well, what revenue we're generating from that class, best case scenario, right? Like how many reformers or mats or whatever are in the room and how much you're charging per person. Well, that's your total maximum revenue. And we all know, if we've worked in studios long enough, that you can't expect to get 100% occupancy, right? Like I think when I ran a studio for a decade, like 82, 85% was really the maximum occupancy that we could have in our classes. Like, so if you've got 10 reformers over the week or over the month, you could average like eight and a half people per class, because by the time you get more than that, people always cancel at the last minute, rebook a different, you have to have a little bit of extra headroom there. So, all right, so there's that. And then there's like, thinking as a studio owner, what job, hiring an instructor, a lot of studio owners, when they pose these questions to me, ask some version of like, oh, well, I pay my experienced instructors this much, so how much should I pay my novice instructors? Or like, this person's asking for this much, so how much should I pay them in 2 years when they're more experienced? Or that kind of, some version of that. And, or, instructors ask like, oh, I'm new, so I should only, how much should I ask for? Because I know the experienced instructors get this much, so maybe I shouldn't charge that much, and I just think that's the wrong way to think about it. As a studio owner, like, what job are you hiring that person to do? Right? Like, it's an exchange of value, right? As a studio owner, you're giving that instructor money in exchange for what? Like, what are you getting back? What are you getting from that deal, right? Well, you get bums on reformers. That's what you get as a studio. You're saying, okay, if I give you this handful of money, show me bums on reformers. And it may be that the instructor has a direct responsibility to market their class and whatever, or it may just be that like you expect that the instructor is going to be so awesome that the clients will keep coming back and the class will fill up over time, right? But either way, if you're the studio owner, you can tell in 1 second by looking at your timetable who your best instructors are, right? Because the best instructors are defined as the ones whose classes are full all the time, right? And if I'm teaching every week and I've already always got 2 people in my class, right? I'm not one of your best instructors. Like that's how you define it, right? I might have all these qualifications and all these experiences, like, but you're not going to keep me on the payroll forever if my classes are always empty. So the actual job you're paying me to do as an instructor, right? If you're the studio owner and I'm the instructor, the job you're paying me to do is bums on reformers. And so, all right. And so what does, if that's the job description, right? Well, what does success look like? Let's define success. All right. We've got 10 reformers in the room. What's my minimum expectation if I pay you $50 for a class? Well, I need 6 of those reformers occupied on average every class, right? Because if I'm paying you $50 and I've only got 3 people occupying reformers, well, the math doesn't add up. I'm paying you more than they're paying me, right? So I need 6 people on reformers to be able to afford to pay you $50. Now, if I had 7 people on reformers, well, I could afford to pay you $60. And if I had 8 people on reformers, I could afford to pay you $70. Does that kind of make sense? Right? So now, but where into that equation does how many qualifications you've got matter? Right? What if I've only got 3 people on reformers, but you've got like a PhD in teaching Pilates? Should I pay you more? I don't think so. So I think there's all right, what job are you hiring them to do, and what does success look like? Okay, well, if you want to keep your job, I need 6 people on average, right, over the month or over the quarter or over the whatever, right? If we're going to keep that class running, I need 6 people in it, because I've got rent and I've got marketing and I've got to pay the telephone bill and all those things, right? And so if I've got 3 people in the class, it's not break even. All right, so in that case, an average of 6 people in the class is the job I'm hiring you to do, right? And so if I can hire you and you can deliver 6 people per class on average, well, you're doing your job. High five, you win, right? And if you deliver 7 people on average, well, you're a high performer, right? So you should be remunerated a little bit more than the average bear, in my view, okay? Because you're delivering more value to me, right? I'm getting a bigger lolly bag from you, so I should give you more money for it. That's what I think, okay? And if you're delivering the holy grail of 100% full class, okay, on average, okay, well, I should basically say to you, look, what's it going to take to keep you here? Because you are a unicorn, right? Do you want me to massage your neck every night before class? Free cafe lattes? Like, what's it going to take to keep you on the team here? Okay. Whereas if you're consistently, I'm talking about on average, I'm not talking about you had a bad day, right? Because there's always, when it rains, people stay away. There's always that stuff, right? I'm talking about averaged over the month or even better over the quarter. Okay. If we say that your job is to deliver me 6 bums on 6 reformers on average every class, right? And then we look back over the last 3 months and your average is 5, well, you're not meeting expectations in that situation, right? Because we made a deal and the deal was I'm going to give you this much money and you're going to give me 6 bums on 6 reformers, right? And I gave you the money, but you didn't give me the bums, right? So then we've either got to renegotiate how much I'm paying you, or we've got to say, actually, no, I'm going to get someone else who can get me 6 bums on 6 reformers. And that's what we would do. Like, just say you were working in marketing or something, or working in digging ditches, right? And your job was to dig, 6 meters of ditch every day, right? And then at the end of the month, you'd only dug 5 meters a day. Well, you're not succeeding in that role, right? So we've got to talk about, okay, how can we help you succeed, or how do we get someone else who can succeed in that role?